Hello YouTube and welcome back to a new video with me, Rams fan YT. In today's video, I will be going over my first edition this season of teams promoted and relegated. We've got plenty to go over. Sheffield Wednesday becoming the first City of Liverpool in a bit of downward spiral. We've got some good news as well, such as Redcar Athletic's historic promotion to the Northern Premier League. First time they've been there in 33 years. So we are going to start the video with Sheffield Wednesday. They were relegated to the Championship with 13 games to play of the season. And the administration hit side were deducted 18 points this season, and their inevitable relegation was confirmed with defeat at City rivals Sheffield United on Sunday, the 22nd of February, which left them on -7 points, 41 adrift to safety, with just 39 points to play for. It is the earliest relegation in the history of the English Football League, and a large number of the senior squad were sold or released in a chaotic summer marked by Verona Dejan Chansiri's failure to pay wages on time, which left the club under numerous embargoes. Administration inevitably followed in October, and Wednesday's depleted squad, further weakened by January exits, have struggled to compete with one win all season. A preferred bidder for the club was announced in December, but James Board pulled out of the process, with David Storch now chosen instead as the new preferred bidder on the 10th of March. As yet, the takeover has not yet been completed, and Wednesday's only win of the campaign came back in September, and it looks possible they will become the first team in Football League history to end a campaign on minus points. So let's go a bit over about the recap this season, shall we? Protests against Thai businessman Chansiri's ownership had increased last season, a campaign which marked 10 years since he took over at Hillsborough, and players and staff had their wages for March delayed and then went unpaid again in May. It proved to be the start of the end for Chansiri and for Wednesday's championship hopes. As the initial delay in paying wages wore on, with no comment from the owner, the club were hit with a registration embargo, and the Professional Footballers Association called the situation shocking. Popular boss Danny Roll initially refused to return to the club when pre-season began, before briefly returning. In the meantime, players Josh Windass and Michael Smith both left on free transfers, with their contracts ended by mutual consent certificate for the forthcoming campaign. Henrik Pedersen, who was Roll's assistant, was appointed boss, and captain Barry Bannon signed a new one-year deal. But the club's chaotic summer launched onwards as the players refused to play a training match at Burnley. That was their final planned pre-season game, and so they went into a new campaign, having not played a single friendly in front of a crowd. Fans protested before their first game of the season at Leicester City, a game where Bannon was sent off as the Owls eventually fell to a battling 2-1 defeat. North Stand received its safety certificate in time for the first home game of the season against Stoke City the following week. Supporter protests continued, with some holding a mock funeral for the club in nearby Hillsborough Park, before the match, which the Owls duly lost 3-0. The home EFL Cup ties against Leeds United and Grimsby Town were both boycotted by the vast majority of the fans, as they tried to stop any additional money going into the club as part of protest to get Chansiri out. The penalty shootout success after a 1-1 draw over Premier League side Leeds in the second round provided a rare moment of joy for the Owls this season. September then brought the high point of the league season as they claimed a deserved 2-0 win at Portsmouth, but the club moved no closer to a takeover, and Chansiri's reign was brought to an end on the 24th of October, when the club was placed into administration and docked 12 points by the EFL. Fans who had been boycotting matches and the club shop returned in droves for the following day's 2-1 home defeat by Oxford United, and the club celebrated the end of Chansiri's spell with a video on the big screen pre-match, while seats spelling out his name in the briefly condemned North Stand were removed. The influx of cash meant the club's administrators, Begby's trainer, were able to pay October's wages early, and by the 10th of November, proof of funds to buy the club had been provided by 10 interested parties. The club were given a 6-point deduction on the 1st of December for the late payment of wages under Chancery and payments owed to His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. This left the Owls 27 points adrift of safety, but it did at last mean the club should start next season in League One without further threat of deductions. We'll come back to that in a minute. The administrators announced they had selected a preferred bidder on the 24th of December, with BBC Sport reporting former professional poker player James Board had been chosen. The team last avoided defeat on the 10th of March in a draw against Watford, ending a run of 13 consecutive defeats. Bannon's 10-year spell with the club came to an end in January when he left for Millwall, while young striker Bailey Cadamateri was sold to Wrexham. Administrators have announced the club had enough money to operate through to the end of the season, and with relegation now confirmed, fans will be hoping positive news about the takeover will follow soon. There is a silver lining that David Storch has been approved as preferred bidder, but that may result in a point deduction next season as he is not willing to pay the required amount for the CVA. Let's talk about some good news, and we'll go with the first team promoted this season of Cobham. They become the first team to be crowned champions in England into the 25-26 season. Having led the combined counties Premier Division South from the first few weeks of the season, leading by a large point total at Christmas, and then kicking on to finish the campaign, the Hammers became the first team in the NLS, that means the National League system, in England from steps 1 to 6 to secure the title. A 1-0 win away at Redhill sealed the title, and the trophy lift was on Saturday 14th of March after the home match to Hawley Town. Relegated, possibly, is Axminster Town. 28 games have gone by of league football for Axminster Town, and they've picked up only a singular point, scored only 13 goals and conceded 130. Surely one of the worst sides we have seen in a while, and in spite of this, relegation cannot be confirmed for Axminster until the end of the season, when the teams promoted from the feeder leagues are determined. And with the South West Peninsula League potentially expanding to 18 sides, it may be that they end up staying up despite their horrific displays this season. Another team potentially relegated is Rainworth Miners Welfare. There, I think, is less uncertainty probably for Rainworth Miners Welfare. They find themselves bottom of the league in the United Counties League Division 1 on 13 points with 136 goals conceded. Their relegation was confirmed on the 7th of March after a 4-0 defeat at the hands of Retford. Unlike Axminster, I suspect Rainworth will be relegated, as I know there are a number of sides in the East Midlands applying for promotion whose grounds do meet the requirements. Relegated Glasshorton Welfare, again another possible one. Glasshorton's relegation zone finish was confirmed as they were beaten 6-0 at Club Thorn Colliery. A Luke Williams double added to by Mark Newsham, Alexander Peterson, Jordan Bookham and Andrew Wright piling on the misery for the basement side. That result, coupled with Athersley Recreation's 5-0 home win over Louth Town, means they can no longer escape for bottom 3. The side has only accumulated 10 points so far and conceded 150 goals. I suspect at least one side will be reprieved from the Northern Counties East League, with both the York League and the Humber Premier League seeming to be devoid of passable grounds. However, I suspect it won't be enough to see Glasshorton reprieved. Relegated for definite, Brantham Athletic. A long visit to Waltham Abbey was made longer on the way home as the visitors lost 4-0 in a result that saw them relegated from Isthmian League Division 1 North, and they were relegated with 7 games remaining of the season. Another team relegated is East Grinstead Town. Bottom side East Grinstead Town started the night of the 11th of March, 27 points from safety, and sadly ended it with relegation confirmed. They fell behind against visitors Sheppey United on 24 minutes. Jacob Lambert with the opener, and the Ites quickly added another, courtesy of David Prezibilo. That is a really hard name to say. And Steve Smith, though, did get one back for the hosts 10 minutes before half-time, and it looked as if they might take a rare point as Dan Perry levelled at 16 minutes from time, but 9 minutes later, a spot kick from Lambert ensured 3 points headed back to the Isle and that the hosts were relegated. Erif's point against Deal left the Wasps 28 points from safety with only 9 matches remaining. It is worth saying that they have only picked up 6 goals conceded in the Isthmian League Division 1 South East campaign. Promoted Liversedge. Long-time leaders Liversedge are over the line and confirmed as champions of the Macron Northern Counties East League with weeks to spare. Following their superb 2-0 victory over closest challengers Beverley Town the previous week, Danny Forrest's men required just 2 more points to seal the title when they went to Parkgate on Saturday. And they duly delivered with another excellent all-round display that saw them win 3-0. It put them 17 points clear of Beverley, with both teams having 5 league fixture games remaining, and confirmed that Liversedge were able to lift the championship trophy for the first time. The title win also brings promotion, with Sedge making an immediate return to the pitching in Northern Premier League after their relegation from Step 4 last season. They can also finish the season with double success, as they are still in the Northern Counties East League Cup and are set to host Campion in the semi-finals later this month. It was all about concentrating on the league first, and Sedge were made to work hard initially by their 9th-placed Parkgate hosts in the potential decider. It took them 33 minutes to break the deadlock, but the victory was not really in doubt after Alfie Dean's opener. A quick-fire double around the hour mark with Kellen Swales and George Green netting made sure of a win and they were looking for, and the team comfortably saw out the remainder of the game to keep another clean sheet and end as 3-0 winners. Ben Atkinson was one of the second-half substitutes used after returning to the club from his loan spell at Curzon to help the team in the last parts of the season. Winning the championship with 5 games to spare is some achievement, with Liversedge boasting an outstanding record of 26 wins from their 33 league matches, with 7 draws and just 2 defeats, and they have also remained unbeaten at home this season. Another team possibly relegated is Copthorne. With all the usual caveats for Tier 10 clubs, Copthorne have entered the lottery of relegation from Tier 10. Only 1 win all season in the Southern Combination, being the only points they gained all season, and 137 goals conceded should be enough really for any side to warrant relegation. With the Southern Combination having less regional feeders, there is the off chance that they do evade relegation. Relegated Wombwell Town. Wombwell Town were relegated from Northern Counties East League Premier Division after a 2-1 defeat at the hands of Handsworth on the 17th of March. It may be a step too far for the Wellers, who were promoted last season and seem to be well backed as well. From what I've heard, they've spent a lot of this season focusing on improving the ground for the long term, and therefore some players had to move on to enable that to happen. Promoted Dearne and District. An absolute credit must be given to Dearne and District, who were promoted to the Northern Counties East League only last season, and with former manager Jason Blunt moving on, it could have been easy to lose all that momentum. Zephaniah Thomas has stepped in as player manager and taken Dearne and District onto the next level. The consecutive promotion was sealed in style on Friday the 20th of March as they beat Club Thorn Colliery 5-0 away from home in front of 310 fans. Even more impressive is every goal scorer is different, with Jamie Austin, Adam Baskerville, Joshua Dacre, Taylor Nicholson and Max Eastwood all scoring. They have 4 games to make up 6 points to surpass the 90 points mark. Relegated Rayners Lane. Rayners Lane have had a disappointing season in the Southern League Division 1 Central. They have picked up only 17 points and conceded 104 goals. The relegation was confirmed on Saturday the 21st of March in their 2-0 defeat at the hands of Tame United. The latest result being a 10-1 defeat against Aylesbury United really sums up their season though. However, this club has come so far, having been promoted from Step 6 football in 2023. Promoted Whitstable Town. A dramatic second half on a wet and Wednesday night at Rustall on the 24th of March saw Whitstable earn the point they required to ensure they would finish as champions of the Southern Counties East Football League Premier Division this season and gain promotion back to Step 4. Whitstable shaded a relatively quiet first half that ended without a goal or any indication of the excitement that would follow. Jack Nelson fired Whitstable ahead soon after a restart, only for Jack Kirby to equalise for the playoff-chasing hosts shortly afterwards. Nelson then collected 2 quick yellow cards to leave at Westerman with only 10 men from the 57th minute onwards. Things got worse for the visitors when Dan Colmer failed to catch an in-swinging corner in the gusty conditions, leaving Thomas Adeyemi with a simple finish to give the Rustics the lead. Whitstable then showed why they had been unbeaten in the league since September the 23rd, and Will Thomas headed in a Bradley Schaefer free kick to tie things up at 2-2. Home goalkeeper Serine Sané prevented Schaefer from restoring Whitstable's advantage, but the rest of the game was mainly a determined defensive performance by the 10 men to secure the point needed to spark the celebrations, with a large contingent of Oyster supporters who had made the journey to see their team win their first league championship since 2007. To be fair, it has been an incredible 2 seasons for the Oystermen. I'll just recap some of the things that have happened in the last 2 seasons. In 2024-25, they finished 3rd place in the Southern Counties East League Premier Division before losing the playoff semi-final on penalties. They were also runners-up in the Kent Senior Trophy and also won the FA Vase in Wembley in May. Who could forget that? And this season, they have obviously won the Southern Counties East Premier Division, with 5 games still to play, mind you. And they've also had a record-breaking run in the FA Cup, reaching the 4th qualifying round, knocking up 3 Step 3 teams, and also have reached the last 16 of the FA Vase. Another Kent Senior Trophy final is due to be played as well, up against Punjab United later on this month, and their home crowds have averaged over 700, so I think they're well and truly deserving to be in the Isthmian League. Relegated Leamington. Leamington's relegation from the National League North was confirmed following a heavy 5-2 defeat against Kingsland Town on the 24th of March. The Brakes have endured a miserable campaign, winning just 6 of 41 matches, with the club relegated with 6 games left to play. Defeat against Kingsland ultimately confirmed Leamington's inevitable relegation, as Scott Easterlow suffered a 4th straight loss as Brakes boss. The Brakes found themselves 4 goals down at half-time after Ross Crane netted a brace either side of strikes from Carlton Opazuni and Jaden Davis at the York Co-op Community Stadium. Leamington rallied late on as substitutes Eric Yaha and Ilani Edwards scored their first goals for the club, only for Terry Bondo to add a 5th goal for Kingsland in injury time. The Brakes sit bottom of the National League North table, 18 points below the teams above them in the relegation zone. Or above the relegation zone, that is. In a must-win game for the Brakes, the home side endured a miserable first half hour as Kingsland scored 3 goals to end, but all but end the game as a contest. Kingsland took the lead on 14 minutes as Ubazuni won and converted a penalty before Crane finished from close range 6 minutes later. And Crane doubled his tally for the game on the half-hour mark with a powerful strike past Eddie Breary. The visitors scored a 4th goal on the stroke of half-time as Davis curled a shot into the net from the edge of a penalty area. Leamington scored a consolation goal 9 minutes from time when Yahya embarked on a fine solo run from inside of his own half to score his first Brakes goal. And the home stroke again 3 minutes later as Edwards powered a shot into the top corner. That had to limp off before the end of the game, with Brakes all out at substitutes. Kingsland rubbed salt into the wounds at the death when Bondo rifled a shot into the roof of the net deep into injury time. It means the second relegation back to Step 3 in 4 seasons. Promoted Redcar Athletic. Ignore the cries of Wrexham for their great stories of promotions. Redcar Athletic have just earned promotion to their highest ever level in the club's 33-year history. Promotion to the 7th tier was earned after a 4-2 win over promotion chasers Matlock Town on the 25th of March. It has been a truly incredible decade for Redcar. In 2018, they won the Tier 11 Wearside League, earning promotion to the Northern League. In 2021, they were promoted from a Northern League Division 2 based on their results over COVID, Then last season, they claimed a Northern League Division 1 title and have followed that up with this season with back-to-back promotions. The club have lofty ambitions to achieve another promotion next season, and with promotion sealed with 6 games to spare and a town with a population of about 37,000, they can definitely draw enough support to be competitive in the next level up. With possibilities of Middlesbrough, Stockton Town, Gisborough Town, Yarmouth Eaglescliffe, and Redcar Town all joining Redcar Athletic in promotion, could we see the Teesside area become a bastion of non-league football once again? Relegated AFC Dunstable. Regardless of whether the planned merge with Dunstable Town goes ahead, which I must say it does make sense to me, AFC Dunstable can guarantee they won't be playing in the Southern League Division 1 Central next season. They have picked up just 11 points so far this season and conceded 120 goals. Relegation was confirmed by a 6-0 defeat at the hands of Leighton Town, who hoped to win that league. The problems were exacerbated when the manager left in January, with a load of first-teamers with him, leaving the club playing with mainly youngsters between then and the end of the season. Promoted Mulbarton Wanderers. Following Mulbarton's 5-1 win away victory over Heacham, it marks the first time Mulbarton have won the Eastern Counties League Premier Division, and next season will be the first time they've played at Step 4. I will just say, enjoy the celebrations now, because the Isthmian League Division 1 North has proven a very difficult obstacle for teams in Norfolk and Suffolk over the years, with Essex teams dominating that league. However, Mulbarton hold on to an impressive 15-point lead over second-placed Southampton Town Rangers, and so far Mulbarton have won 25 out of their 29 games this season. Relegated Fareham Town. Town's relegation from Step 4 was confirmed on the 28th of March with a disappointing performance from the get-go against Hayes and Yeading United. In truth, a game that won't live long in the memory banks, Town were not helped by the unavailability of Dan Bennett, Lewis Colvin, and Asad Simwagere, I'm going to go with. They were replaced by Harvey Aston, Ollie Kershaw, and Ethan Quinlan, with new signing Elliot Chaffee starting on the bench. Town were behind before you could say Creeksiders, as Matthew headed the visitors into the lead inside the first 30 seconds. The next highlight came on 16 minutes when McCarthy made a final save to push Ibanda's effort wide of the post. Hayes and Yeading were dominating possession, but some poor finishing or desperate Fareham defending were the order of the afternoon for the next 25 minutes. But it was Fareham who very nearly had much of a run of play, against the run of play rather, scored on 41 minutes. Charlie Cooper nearly capitalising on a weak clearance by Forster in the visitors' goal, but the ball rebounded off Cooper just too far ahead of him to get the shot in. The last chance of the half fell to the visitors, with McCarthy again making a smart stop from Matthew. The Creeksiders looked better at the beginning of the second half and on 54 minutes levelled the score. Sam Paul, a first half change for Ethan Quinlan, was found by a fine pass by Sullivan, and his effort was saved by Forster, but made no mistake from a rebound and 1-1. Would this lift Town's game to a new level? No. On 64 minutes, in probably the move of the match, some excellent one-touch passing through the Town defence saw the ball reach Grant, but his effort went over the bar. But Velasov didn't last long, and Sippett's flick volley at the near post from across from the left going across, and McCarthy into the opposite corner. Town huffed and puffed and as all season worked hard, there was little end product, and right on 90 minutes, Hayes and Yeading secured the 3 points when Hales, who tormented Town at the Skymex back in January, replicated torment, being on the end of a good move, blasting home from the right-hand side. After the match, Simon Woods said it was a disappointing performance and not using it as an excuse, having 6 or more players unavailable today, we just weren't at it. Unfortunately, relegation has been an inevitability for a while, and we need to use the remaining matches to help plan ahead for next season and get a few wins under our belt, starting with Tuesday night's cup game. The competition will be looking to win and get something from what has been a long season. Relegated Tavistock. Relegation was virtually confirmed with a 2-0 win, home defeat rather, against fellow relegation competitors Melksham Town. on the 20th of March. Relegation was, though, actually confirmed with a 6-1 defeat to Winchester City. In that game, all 6 goals were conceded, and then the goalkeeper was sent off, and they didn't concede again. So from that sample size, you can certainly point the fingers at Tom Watson. 92 goals conceded in the Southern League Division 1 South is also not good reading for their number one. But a total of 13 points is something all players and the management team must be embarrassed about. The next team who have been relegated is Guildford City. Despite a valiant fight, Guildford City succumbed to relegation on the final day of their season. For the first time in 22 years, City are destined to play Step 6 football in whichever league the FA see fit. Within minutes of the kick-off, Guildford might have thought they were being welcomed to Hades and not Step 6 of the football hierarchy. A thunderclap overhead was followed by darkened skies and a hailstorm that left the surrounding track coated white. A wag in the crowd suggested it was a weather befitting a Boxing Day match. Gradually, the storm moved away and the club dared to turn off the unwanted floodlights. There was still a flood football match to be played after all. Epsom had seen a shot in the box blocked, and for Guildford, Darnell John Peter had turned a low cross goalward where it was cleared off the line. Both sides had good possession, but throughout the game, City couldn't fashion enough clear chances on goal. From a long throw at the half-hour mark, George Burgess Allen's snapshot was saved by Kit Fletcher in the visitors' goal. In response, Epsom headed over the bar from close range. In the final moments of the half, Bertie Saunders didn't connect with the ball at the back post, whilst in reply George Hyde made a smart save at a forward's feet in the goal mouth. Minutes into the second period, Epsom took the lead. The impressive Courtney Swaby danced into the box and fired home from 15 yards. Burgess Allen saw a shot parried, whilst it appeared for a second that Darnell John Peter was through on goal, but a fine covering tackle negated the opening. In turn, George Hyde saved well from a Jason Vincent volley. Epsom's Ali Fofahan found himself free in front of goal, but his first touch after coming off the bench let him down and the chance went. With 10 minutes remaining, Josh Opong couldn't get enough power in his effort, and Nathan O'Neill saw his chance blocked. Then, with 2 minutes remaining, Guildford were given a chance. A Kai Zinni corner was headed home at the near post by Callum Pert, who just days earlier had donned goalkeeper gloves at Camberley. Despite City's pressure, it was Epsom who had the chances in added time. George Hyde saved well from Craig Dundas. Then, in the 7th minute of stoppage, Epsom converted a controversial penalty through Fofahan to win the game. With results elsewhere going against them, it was confirmed that Guildford City were relegated. It was a sad end to a season which in recent months has seen City's performance improve much to a much better level. In terms of form, they are 4th in the division, but that, of course, is not what counts, and the string of poor results in the first half of the season proved too heavy a handicap for the club. Relegated City of Liverpool. With 4 games left to play of the season, a 3-1 defeat to Isle of Man FC will see the Perps suffer consecutive relegations to Tier 10. I'm unsure whether it will be the North West Counties Division 1 South or North yet, but it is worth mentioning that this club seems to be a bit of a train wreck off the pitch. They were established in 2015 on socialist principles, where it would be owned by the club, everyone having to pay a tenner for being a member. They would then elect a board to represent their needs. This itself, well, that's not a bad system. Plenty of fan-owned clubs do the same. The problem was that the handover of a new committee at the start of the season wasn't done in the proper way and caused much confusion. This, followed by a decrease in attendances recently, would see the club probably fall into a downward spiral of cash flow. They also were due to play at Widnes, then Widnes folded, and so obviously their ground deal was terminated, so they had to move to Burskov. So in terms of fans who are following them, they've got a lot of... They're a bit nomadic, aren't they? So I unfortunately can see this side feasibly folding within the next couple of seasons. Relegated potentially, Wivenhoe Town. Jeff Welsh left as manager of Wivenhoe Town 2 weeks ago, but that wasn't enough to reverse the damage, and now Wivenhoe will face the loss through the FA relegations from Tier 10. The bottom three finish was confirmed on the 28th of March after a 2-1 defeat to Needham Markets Reserves. I would suspect, however, with the feeder leagues in East Anglia being particularly light on size capable of promotion, Wivenhoe may well evade relegation. Relegated Leiston Reserves. Another side in the Eastern Counties League Division 1 North who could be relegated are last placed Leiston Reserves. Their finish in the bottom three was confirmed after a 2-0 defeat at Halesworth Town. If you watch this series that I did last season, then you will know that I am not a fan of reserve sides being in the pyramid at all, so I'd be more than happy to see Leiston's reserves being relegated if it means a first team gains promotion. Relegated again, possibly, is Nostell Miners Welfare. Needing to win all of their remaining 4 matches to have any chance of survival, they went 2-1 down at home to Armthorpe Welfare on the 28th of March, who are still harbouring hopes of a late charge into the playoff zone. Charlie Osterfield restored parity for the hosts after Alfie Charlotte's opener, but the win was confirmed in the 81st minute for Armthorpe Welfare through William Mendonca. Nostell are a side who have struggled in the last couple of seasons or so due to the financial power of other sides of the league, such as Wakefield. A welfare club from a village is always likely to struggle in such conditions, and I don't think that should be bearing much negatively on the actual club. And the final one for this video is the possibility of a relegation of Sheffield Town and Campden. Weirdly, this club hasn't posted anything on social media since February, and they are still playing games though, and it was their game on the 28th of March with a 5-0 defeat against Irchester United, which sees them finish in the bottom three. Having been relegated from the Spartan South Midlands Premier Division last season in quite controversial, well, it wasn't quite controversial, but it was a bit of a mix-up between them and the FA. They said that they were going to get a reprieve, and then later on the FA rode back on that decision, and they weren't reprieved and they were relegated. But they are now staring down the barrel of a double relegation shaped gun. They have only accumulated though 15 points this season and conceded 104 goals, so it's not too surprising if they do get relegated. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you are new around here, please do subscribe. That would be very helpful to me as we're going on to the next season. We've got a lot of content dropping. Yes, if you are in an area of a non-league football team, go and support them. There's some cracking games going to be going on now between now and the end of the season, I imagine. But yes, see you all later.